Venom 2 was directed by Andy Serkis, and it is the follow-up film to the prior 2018 film, Venom. Eddie Brock has accepted Venom into his life fully, except he kinda hasn't accepted Venom into his life fully, which causes new issues to arrive when he encounters a serial killer known as Cletus Cassidy, which causes a bigger problem with him becoming Carnage. Carnage has been a fan favorite character from the Spider-Man mythos, from the comic books. Everybody has been begging to have Carnage in these movies. Now, we begged to see a proper Venom. They gave us parts of that. I never fully thought that they nailed the Venom character. And even in this movie, which I will discuss, they still haven't fully nailed him. However, this time around, I will admit, I didn't like the first movie. I will tell you right now. Now, did Venom finally change my mind? Did Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, finally change my mind about not liking the first one and make me like this one? And the answer to that is yes, I actually like this one. Now granted, I don't think it's perfect. And granted, I don't think it's my top pick in terms of Marvel movies. And granted, I still think there's a lot of issues. However, this is definitely a step in the right direction for the Venom character, because I'll tell you right now, most of the time when I was watching the first Venom, my reaction was like, huh, okay, so I guess we got a Venom movie. Alright, cool. Alright, well. Infinity War's looking really good, though, huh? And I didn't like the wacky humor from the first one. I just felt like it wasn't really that funny. This time, I don't know whether it was Andy Serkis or a different type of direction in the script. I don't know. But they crank up the humor more, which you would think would be a bad thing for someone like me who didn't like the humor from the first movie. But I actually found it to be a lot better written and a lot more hilarious when it came to the banter between Venom and Eddie. These two do not get along. And even though I do have some problems with some things that they do with Venom, this very much, in a laughable way, is an abusive relationship. Because on one end, Eddie Brock abuses Venom. And on the other hand, Venom physically abuses Eddie and completely says, "You're a loser and you suck." It's such an interesting direction to go with these characters, and it takes a lot of balls to do something like that. It really does. And for me personally, I enjoyed that a lot, and it made it a lot more fun than the first movie. The first movie was more about him accepting Venom, and the fact of the matter is, the way they did it, they just drug it out to the point where I didn't like the first movie. I'm just being honest. But this one, it was much more fast-paced because this was only 90-something minutes, and so it made sure to keep the momentum going, and it never slowed down, and it kept everything going with the characters. And that's what I feel like they needed. If they're going to go in the direction of a PG-13 Venom movie, then they need to make sure to work that character into the PG-13 setting. And they do it a lot better in this one than they did in the last one. Now, there are a couple of things where I'm kind of like, okay, that could have been R-rated. But, again, like I said, since we didn't get an R-rated Venom, I mean, this is probably the best we can get right now. So far. I still have a lot of issues, but it is what it is. The visual effects are superb. I'm not going to say that they're superior to the first one because that would be an unfair comparison considering it's a couple of years difference. And it's almost like comparing Spider-Man 1 to The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, you can't compare those two because it's two different time periods and it's just different types of CG. The different types of ways that you look at the CG. So it's not really fair to draw that comparison. However, it does work better because you can actually see what is going on. The fight between Venom and Carnage is way better than that fight between Riot and Venom. Because I'll tell you right now, this was an awesome fight. They did a great job at having these two characters go back and forth. And I thoroughly loved it. I thought it was something that was just fun. I thought it was great. And that's the biggest thing I can say about this movie that's a compliment is it's fun. It's like something that you can just sit back and relax and watch. Now, if you're watching it analytically like me all the time with almost every movie, I can never just seem to sit back and relax. then there's a lot of issues that happen with this movie. As much as I loved Woody Harrelson as Carnage, and he definitely did an amazing job as Cletus Cassidy, I did feel like the love story between Cletus Cassidy and Shriek was very weird, considering Cletus Cassidy is more of a Joker character to me, where the Joker never actually loved Harley Quinn, but he was just that crazy to a point where he just didn't love anything. That should be the case with Cletus Cassidy. And that felt very weird to have that Shriek and Cletus Cassidy relationship. Also, there is some things that they do with Venom that I'm not particularly happy with. Let me just bring it up now. I'm not going to say when or what it is, but they did make him gay, which a lot of people would be like, oh no, he isn't. No, the director Andy Serkis confirmed it. After I watched the movie, I wanted to read what he had to say about that. And yeah, Venom is gay. And I don't know how to feel about that. I don't particularly like it. It just feels very weird that they do this to characters. They think it makes it more relatable, and they think that it makes it more... I don't want to use the word woke because that's used way too much, but they feel like they're bringing in more larger audiences. But in that regard, you're ruining the experience of people who just want to watch a movie that doesn't have too much change about the characters they love. For example, Black Superman. I have a problem with that. Clark Kent is white. You doesn't need to be black for no reason. That's just a problem. So that is another problem that I have. And this may sound like a negative, but it's also the biggest compliment I can give this movie due to the fact that I didn't like the first movie. This feels like one of those early 2000s superhero movies, like kind of like X-Men 1, kind of like those superhero movies that were still trying to figure out what they wanted to do and still kind of figuring out what type of formula they wanted to use or what type of things they wanted to do with these characters. It very much feels like that with this movie, where it's very much experimental and it follows a lot of the same beats. Even the music, to me, felt like an early 2000s superhero movie, which can be a bad thing, but it's also a good thing at the same time because it does feel refreshing, considering when I watched something like Shang-Chi recently, I didn't really feel anything after the second half of the movie. The first half was the most unique Marvel movie, and then once it got into its second half, I was like, okay, I'm not really enjoying this anymore. It's more of the same thing I've seen. This one feels like one of those early 2000s superhero movies, and it takes a lot of liberties and a lot of balls with its characters, and I had a good time with it. I actually really liked that. There is a post-credit scene, which also brought it up a level too. I don't want to spoil it, even though I feel like I want to. But if you guys don't know what it is, I'm not going to spoil it. You guys should know by now, but I'm going to do a separate video on it. But make sure you stay for that post-credit scene. It's not really post-credit, but it's like mid-credit. But make sure you guys stay for that. I thought this movie was much better than the first one, and I thought it was pretty good. I'm going to say Venom Let There Be Carnage is a good, solid film. Now, if you feel like that's a little bit too low for me to give, do remember I did a prior movie review of the other Venom movie. And let me just say I gave it a decent to a bad film rating. So this is definitely a step in the right direction. Still have a lot of issues, but overall, a fun watch. And I enjoyed it much better. So I'm really happy that I enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think of the movie down below in the comments section. And as always, if you guys liked the video, make sure to subscribe today to join the Isaiahization.